you ever watch a fight and feel like you just witnessed a turning point in someone's career? That's exactly what went down in Abu Dhabi when Robert Whittaker clashed with Reinier de Ridder in the main event. We're talking two elite middleweights, both 34 years old, both looking to climb the ladder. One a former UFC champ, the other a submission wizard from one championship, now storming the UFC. And trust me, this wasn't just another fight night. It was a statement. If you blinked, you probably missed something huge. So buckle up, because we're diving deep into every major moment of this middleweight showdown. Heading into this matchup, the stakes were crystal clear. Whittaker, the former middleweight king, needed this win to stay relevant in the title picture after a rough loss to Khamzat Chimaev. De Ridder, on the other hand, was riding high off 3 dominant UFC performances, including a TKO of Bo Nickel and 2 slick submissions. Fans were pumped to see whether the Reaper could handle Reinier's ground game, or if Reinier would get overwhelmed by Rod's striking and pace. The Etihad Arena was buzzing, and so were fight fans around the globe. From the opening bell, Whittaker showed that he wasn't here to play around. He used his speed and footwork to keep the distance, landing sharp jabs and chopping leg kicks to keep de Ridder off balance. But Reinier wasn't shy either. He timed a few early level changes, testing Rob's takedown defense. And while Whittaker stuffed those initial attempts with confidence, it was clear that the grappling threat was going to linger all night. Still, round 1 was all about the Aussie's rhythm and control. The second round saw things get real interesting. De Ridder adjusted his game plan, mixing in feints and overhands before shooting in deep. He finally got a single-leg takedown, briefly dragging Whittaker down. But Rob's scramble game was on point. He popped back up, created separation, and made Reinier pay with a flurry of strikes. The crowd roared as Whittaker landed a stiff head kick that grazed Reinier's temple. Reinier's chin held up, but the momentum had clearly shifted again, back in Rob's favor. Round 3 is where the fight truly hit peak intensity. De Ridder, feeling the urgency, pressed forward harder than before. He locked in a body lock against the cage and worked for a trip, nearly taking Whittaker's back in a wild scramble. For a moment, the crowd held its breath, because we've seen Reinier finish fights in that exact position. But Whittaker stayed calm, hand-fought out of danger, and reversed the position, landing a few solid elbows as he broke free. It was veteran composure at its finest. By the championship rounds, fatigue started showing on both sides. But here's where Whittaker's experience really stood out. He began varying his attack more, landing clean shots to the head, body, and legs. De Ridder's striking accuracy dipped slightly, and he was getting tagged coming in. Still, the Dutchman's toughness was undeniable. He never stopped pressuring. He kept threatening the takedown, even attempting a standing guillotine that had the crowd roaring. But again, Whittaker defended smartly and turned the tide. In the 5th and final round, both fighters left it all in the octagon. Reinier went all in with takedown attempts, even pulling guard at one point, trying to work from his back. Whittaker, though, remained disciplined. He didn't overextend. He didn't rush for the finish. Instead, he stayed sharp, landed strikes, and denied every grappling exchange. It wasn't the kind of wild finish that ends up on highlight reels, but it was a tactical masterclass by Rob, showing why he's still one of the best in the world at 185. When the final horn sounded, there wasn't much doubt about the outcome. The judges scored it unanimously for Robert Whittaker, and rightfully so. He controlled the striking, defended the takedowns, and outworked a very dangerous opponent. It was a much-needed bounce-back win for the Reaper, who reminded everyone that he's not done chasing gold. And for Reinier de Ridder, even in defeat, he proved he belongs with the elite. He showed grit, heart, and moments of brilliance against one of the UFC's best. So what's next for both fighters? For Whittaker, this puts him right back in the title mix, a matchup with the winner of Dricus du Plessis versus adversary. Khamzat Chimaev now makes perfect sense. He's got the resume, the fan base, and now the momentum. As for de Ridder, he's still new in the UFC, and one loss doesn't erase the skills he's shown. With his grappling acumen and evolving stand-up, a matchup against someone like Sean Strickland or Brendan Allen could be perfect to test his bounce-back ability. In the end, UFC Abu Dhabi delivered big time, and Whittaker versus de Ridder was the cherry on top. It had drama, technique, and two warriors putting it all on the line. Whether you're Team Reaper or a fan of de Ridder's jiu-jitsu clinic, this fight was a treat for MMA purists and casuals alike. And if tonight taught us anything, it's this: don't count out Robert Whittaker, because every time you think he's slowing down, he delivers a performance like this. Thanks for watching, fight fans. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. Whittaker's experience was on full display throughout the fight. He maintained composure in the pocket, picked his shots carefully, and made de Ridder pay every time he tried to close the distance. While de Ridder managed to get a few solid grappling attempts, Whittaker's elite takedown defense once again proved why it's one of the best in the middleweight division. He used lateral movement and footwork to keep the fight in his comfort zone, landing clean combinations and frustrating the Dutchman. It was clear that Whittaker's fight IQ and octagon control were giving him the edge as the rounds went on. De Ridder started showing signs of fatigue, and the momentum was clearly swinging toward the Australian. As the final round began, both fighters knew what was on the line. De Ridder came out aggressive, possibly aware he needed a finish to secure a win. He pushed forward, trying to clinch and drag Whittaker to the mat. But Whittaker stayed sharp, defending well and turning defense into offense. He landed a nasty uppercut that snapped de Ridder's head back, followed by a stiff jab that opened up a cut under his eye. With the crowd in Abu Dhabi fully engaged, Whittaker kept the pressure on, mixing up his attacks beautifully and denying de Ridder any chance of a comeback. The final horn sounded, with Whittaker raising his arms, confident in his performance. In the end, all three judges scored the fight in favor of Robert Whittaker by unanimous decision. It was a critical victory that puts the Reaper back in the title conversation and silences some of the doubt that crept in after his loss to Khamzat Chimaev. As for Reinier de Ridder, while the loss stings, his stock doesn't fall much. He proved he can hang with top-tier UFC talent. For fight fans, this bout was everything they hoped for: skill, heart, and a glimpse into what's next in the always electric middleweight division. Whittaker called out the winner of du Plessis versus Chimaev in his post-fight interview, and if that materializes, we're in for another epic clash. Robert Whittaker's performance in Abu Dhabi was more than just a win. It was a reminder that he remains one of the most complete fighters in the UFC. His striking was crisp, his defense nearly flawless, and his ability to manage the pace of the fight showed why he's a former champion still operating at an elite level. With this victory, Whittaker not only protects his top 10 ranking, but also makes a strong case for one more run at UFC Gold. Reinier de Ridder, despite the loss, showed flashes of brilliance and proved he belongs among the best. As the middleweight landscape continues to evolve, fights like this one help define the future. Whether Whittaker gets the winner of Chimaev versus du Plessis or faces another top contender next, one thing's clear: the Reaper is far from done.